You want to talk about missing kids in Ohio while Little Caesars doesn't have $5 hot and readies anymore? What the fuck?
Dude, they should always have $5 hot and ready pizzas. I mean, what the fuck is that about? Anyways, today is November 4th, 2023, and today we're doing our episode 0.9 of the Long Road Podcast. Are we doing the podcast right now?
Who is it?
Mikey.
Pick it up.
Yo, we just got our first caller on the Long Road Podcast. You're with Jacob and Nick.
How you doing?
I had a question. I just love your guys' podcast and just wanted to say, you guys are really inspirational. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. No problem.
Of course.
Oh, yes. All right. Well, shit. Let you guys get back to it.
Yes, thank you, caller, for calling in today. We appreciate it. That was our first caller for the podcast.
Name Mikey.
Mikey.
Thank you for calling in. He didn't even ask anything.
No, yeah. I should call him. I'll call him back.
He's like, I have a question. That was it.
Oh, he didn't answer. What the fuck?
Shit.
Oh, he's taking a shit.
Oh. That's where you have the best conversations, though, over the phone.
Yeah. I do most of my thinking while I'm taking a shit.
Exactly. I do some of my best Hearthstone plays is definitely on the pooper over there.
Yeah. I said, call me back when you're done and you can ask us stuff.
There you go.
For the podcast. Bro, I seen you try to invite me 2 hours ago. Yeah, the One Piece world is fucking huge.
Yeah. Well, I was watching a video a while ago
I'm gonna look up
about how big the Sunny is. You haven't met the Sunny yet. They get another ship later on. But like compared to the Sunny is just huge to begin with, and that's what they take to measure out the worlds and islands that they go to.
What is the Sunny?
A new ship that they get later on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because right now, what is it called? I'm a bad One Piece fan. The Mary?
That's the one that they start out with?
Yeah.
The small one or whatever?
Yeah. Well, it's not really that small.
It's not...
either.
Yeah.
But,
it's bigger than any ship I own.
Compared to the Sunny, yeah, I guess it would be pretty small.
Oh, yeah, so I guess the One Piece... Because it's the One Piece world map that I'm looking at right now. It's not super big, but definitely this is like a bunch of different countries. Like, what it would be in real life.
Well, they got the world government. And that...
Oh, that's true.
That controls all of that. Let's see. The Sunny and the Mary size comparison.
Oh, that's funny. This is a fan-made map. Because I guess they don't have an actual...
Well, they do. They show it on the anime a lot of times, but it's not like they've posted one.
This is the same program he used to make this, is what I used to make the D&D maps.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. They just don't have an image of the... Oh, here it is. That's actually comical.
Holy shit. That's the one that they start out at?
Yeah.
And that's the new one?
Yeah.
That's fucking huge.
Because the guy that has... Have you seen, anything later on? Do you get Instagram feeds or...
I mean, yeah, I see some stuff.
Okay. The guy with the robot nose?
Yeah. Is that the guy that shoots the explosive boogers or whatever?
I don't know. I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's one guy that shoots
But he's a robot man.
Yeah.
But he builds the Sunny. Because he's a shipbuilder.
Really?
They find him... episode 400 or something like that.
Oh, so is that after like Skypiea and
Yeah.
everything?
Yeah, directly after. Actually, that's the next arc.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just
wait. After Skypiea, don't they land in the Marine base first? And then they have to
I just
escape
see, like,
that,
clips.
and then they escape to that island with the shipbuilders, I think.
Oh,
So-
okay. There's like a whole island of them that's like, because like I know like
Yeah, there's like a shipbuilder island that like specifically builds ships and stuff.
because in like Demon Slayer there's like a secluded part where it's just sword makers. That's like their whole thing is
Yeah.
swords, so it's
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
Swordsmith Village.
Yeah.
That's the newest shit in the anime right now.
Oh, they go back?
Well, they go there for the first time. In the anime?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's season 3.
Is that before or after the train?
That's after. The train's the first
okay.
arc.
That's right.
Or this, I guess the second arc.
That's right. I got it mixed up in my head. I haven't seen those.
The train's the first movie. And we went, I think it was me and you went to the theater, and we saw the newest, it was just like the first 2 episodes or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of the Swordsmith Village or whatever.
Right.
Because Tanjiro has to like, he has a ridiculous sense of smell and can like smell where he's at and all that shit, which I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. But he has to like hop on this chick's back, and then she carries him. She makes him wear like nose plugs, a blindfold, and earplugs, and she carries him to another guy that he jumps on his back. That carries him to another guy, and
That's
like they
right.
do that like 12 times
Yeah.
just to get there. And it's like, and then like the last person doesn't even really know where it's at. They just like drop him off in the general area or some shit, and it's like crazy.
Well, when demons exist, you wouldn't want that to get out either.
Which is funny because directly after Tanjiro gets there, the demons find it.
Oh, well.
Which I guess makes the show, but it's just kind of funny how they're like, nobody has found this in millions of years, and then this kid shows up, and now there's 3 of the highest ranking demons, or 2 of the highest ranking demons, just kind of show up and start killing our swordsmiths.
So when the people first get their swords, they're supposed to change color, right?
Yeah, they change color depending on what your personality and stuff is.
Okay.
Oh, we got another caller. We'll pause that for now.
Who's this?
Hello, caller.
Fully open conversations.
Yep. You have some questions for us?
Yes, sir. What's your guys' opinions about flat Earth or not?
Oh, great.
Oh God. Whether the Earth is flat or not?
Whether it is or flat or not, yeah. What's your opinion on it?
Ask any pilot.
I'm going to say a harsh no.
No, we're not flat, or just no that we don't know?
Ask any pilot.
No.
Ooh, no.
Here, Bubba.
Just no in general.
You know,
So
with all the flat Earth and round Earth, nobody's ever come up with the question if Earth even exists. You know?
Ooh, yeah.
That's an even better conversation.
There you go. So you can take those conversations and add that one with it and come back to me. Thank you, caller. Thank you for calling in.
So I don't think the Earth is flat. I think it's round. But another theory I'd like to tack on to Nick's theory and your theory, caller, is if we were all Pangea at one point, like all the continents were together. So you're saying that we're on this big ass planet, right? And all of the only land that exists was all together on one single part of the Earth, and then we broke apart and now we're taking up all of the Earth? I don't think so. I don't think there was a planet just full of water and there was a little bit of land on one half of it and then nothing but water on the rest. I'd like to think that I seen this map where it was like Pangea or whatever, and then when it broke apart, it's all of the continents. And then there's like an ice cap all the way around us. And that's where like Atlantis is in one corner past the ice cap and like all of this other shit. I don't know if I believe it, but it's just something fun to like think about sometimes, you know? Like what if there was stuff, because I've heard things of pilots, you know, you always hear pilots fly around the world and everything, and But there was one where they tried to go. I think it was the North Pole, and once they got to a certain point in the North Pole, they had to turn back. Like they got some orders, they had to turn around, or there was some other ships that came up and were like, "Hey, you need to, no more access past this point."
Can I have a second question as a caller?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're our only caller, so it's not like the lines are beaming.
Okay, hold on. No, what if Anakin never went bad? Would the rebellion still happen?
Yes. I got the perfect answer for you. So, there was only a couple of Siths, right? And there was a lot of Jedi and a lot of good people in the Order, right? The Force is all about balance. So, you had to take Anakin turning to the dark side for there to be good, because that ended up being Anakin, like Darth Vader, and Lord Sidious as the two bad, and then Yoda and Obi-Wan as the two good. So Anakin destroyed all of the other Jedi and stuff, along with Palpatine destroyed all the other Jedi. So then there was only 2 and 2, because the Force always has a way of balancing itself out. So then Obi-Wan and Yoda, weren't really active or anything. And so there was the 2 new people that revealed themselves as Darth Vader and Darth Sidious, or Lord Sidious or whatever. So the Force needed to balance itself out. How? In twins, Luke and Leia. 2 good to 2 bad. And then Obi-Wan and Yoda eventually die. And so it's Luke and Leia versus Darth Vader and Sidious, the 2 good and the 2 bad. So say Anakin was to stay good, eventually something else would have happened and the Force would have had to balance itself out for it to be... he was always destined to become evil, to balance out the Force, because the Force is all about balance.
So who would have been the next great Sith Lord, do you think?
It could have been Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan could have turned into a Sith.
And that would have been...
I mean, he had all reasons to,
He rejected his love, though.
Yeah. Well, no, he didn't, but he did.
In a way.
Yeah.
And then when he guarded Luke, that kind of cemented his passion to the Force.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking Luke would have went bad. Because he still would have happened too.
Yeah, that's true. Padme was already pregnant at the time that Anakin was first turning evil.
Yeah.
You see, but Anakin was always destined to be evil, though, because, he was a slave and his mom was a slave. And then his mom died and he took out all those Tusken Raiders and he's like, I murdered them, the women and the children. I killed them all. Yeah, they're animals, so I slaughtered them like animals.
Yeah, he was a kid.
Yeah, he was fucking
a
17
teenager.
or something, right?
He was still a teenager when he did that.
Yeah. And he went and slaughtered a whole fucking village of these Tusken
He was
Raiders.
essentially a school shooter. But he went into a really ethnic area and just kind of took all those people out.
Yeah, this teenager walked into a church and killed everybody. Basically, is what the whole second movie was about.
Well, thank you guys so much for having the time of the day.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you guys have a great rest of the day.
You too. Make sure to tune in once we upload the second episode of the Long Road Podcast. All right, now we're back to what were we saying originally? The Demon Slayer stuff.
The Demon
the
Slayer
swords.
stuff.
You asked about the swords.
Yeah.
So,
I don't want to get into it, though. That's
Uh,
too much anime. That's enough anime. We've already talked about One Piece. We talked a little bit about...
Basically, the quick answer is yes. When you get your sword, it's supposed to turn. It's almost like a kyber crystal, from
okay.
Star Wars. And the reason why Tandros didn't turn any color, it stayed black, is because black is the color for is what they start, but it keeps that color for sun breathing people, and he's a sun breather.
Oh, okay. Stupid sun breathers.
Yeah. It's cool. The moon breathing sword is black, but it's purple.
Who gets that one?
So the
Spoilers.
yeah, spoilers.
I'm kidding. Don't answer that question because we're done with anime.
Okay, all right, yeah, we'll keep that one to ourselves.
Man, anytime anybody asks about Star Wars nowadays, I just get so depressed.
Why?
Just my love for Star Wars has just went away.
Is it from the sequels?
It's over with. It's gone.
The shows are kind of good.
Yeah.
But they just don't bring that same.
I just don't care anymore. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care anymore. Like, they had a good thing going, and they messed it up from the start. They've already... It's like when they first bought it, like, all they do is mess up.
Yeah, just the love ain't there anymore because
Not for me.
they kind of ran it dry.
And
it seems.
I'm sure there are people out there that like the new Star Wars, and that's... I hope they do. You know, I hope the people that do like it are out there, but it's just not for me.
And it sucks because I see all of these... Because there's like an actual sport out there that's like lightsaber dueling, where they practice and everything, then they put on shows and stuff. And it's crazy because I see them all the time, like on TikTok or online or whatever. And I see them and I'm like, wow, this is way better than anything Disney's ever done for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, the fighting is just so much better. There's one that's a pretty popular one online where it's a guy... They're like at like a Comic-Con or something, and they're doing like a show. And the guy has a double-bladed blue and green lightsaber, and then like the other guy has a red lightsaber. And they're like kicking each other and like flying back, and they're like fighting and everything, and it's really good. And I'm like, Disney has how many billions of dollars, and they gave us the shit in The Force Awakens, and these guys did this with nothing but fucking probably really expensive lightsabers, and you know, their hearts into it, and they got that, but Disney couldn't have done it.
The thing with the new Star Wars is that they have great scenes, right? The scene in The Last Jedi where the purple girl commits suicide by Lightspeed?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Lightspeed.
Lightspeed.
Enter Lightspeed.
When she enters Lightspeed and then
well, it is warp. The warp drive lets you
handicaps
Lightspeed.
all those Star Destroyers.
Oh yeah.
Like, that was a great scene.
Yeah.
Because it happens, and the theater was so silent when that happened too. Because you're kind of like, oh shit. But
Well,
like,
she's like the captain of the ship, isn't she? She's like, I'm going down
she
with
was the leader of the rebels.
Yeah, yeah. So she
essentially after
sacrificed
Leia
herself.
died,
Yeah.
she took over. And like I said, they just have so many great scenes. It's just everything around those scenes, the build up to some of those scenes, like when Rey and Kylo Ren were fighting in the last movie.
Don't even get me started on that, dude. The fucking
With the waves and how they got there was dumb as hell.
Yeah.
How they got there was dumb.
The fights
and the choreography
okay.
was bad. But if that would have been a good fight scene, that area that they would have been in, if they would have got there somehow in a different way that made sense.
Yeah.
Other than trying to find a weird map or whatever it was for, it would have been awesome. And we would have been talking about how great Star Wars would have been. But instead, we're talking about how I lost love for Star Wars because of the way that it is now. I feel like with the multiverse and everything, that there's got to be a multiverse out there where Star Wars was actually good.
I'm very, very upset about the Knights of Ren. Because they showed up and they had, like, sticks.
I don't give a shit about Knights of Ren.
I thought they were supposed to have lightsabers and
when
they
they
were
first showed up, I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, well, in the comics, they're so much cooler. They have lightsabers and they're force sensitive and they're evil and they actually do crazy shit. In this, they just kind of pop up with a bunch of sticks and like spears and staffs. And then Kylo Ren kills them all in like 2 minutes.
Kylo Ren's a badass, though.
Kylo Ren somehow, his connection to the Force with Rey is so good that they can teleport objects behind their back to each other, which I didn't get that either. I was kind of confused about that.
Because the Force?
Just, yeah. That's the answer, is the Force.
I mean, it's Star Wars, so it's kind of always the answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because of the Force?
Yes.
You were just over there talking about destiny and everything. Why? Because of the Force
Always has to balance out.
always has to balance out. And some people use that Force to heal. Some people use that Force to shoot lightning. somehow they know how to teleport objects. All right, it's just how it is. It just makes sense.
I seen a thing. This guy dresses up like Qui-Gon, and he has a buddy that dresses up like Obi-Wan, and they're sitting on their couch, and they're watching TV, and it shows where who was it? Someone force heals someone or whatever. They like use the force to heal him, and then it goes back, and because Qui-Gon, they have like a filter on, and he's like all blue like a ghost, and Qui-Gon just looks over at Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's not looking at him. He's just staring straight at him. He's like, you could have done that the whole time. And then it like cuts out. This was pretty funny. One thing I did want to talk about was I seen a clip on TikTok on how there's a lot of missing teenagers in Ohio. And it says, the article says, mystery as nearly 50 school children go missing in Cleveland in September alone, while over 1,000 have vanished so far this year. An alarming trend that left Ohio cops baffled. So there's over 1,000 people,
I don't know
teenagers.
how they're baffled. How are they baffled? They're the cops. They're supposed to be protecting these people, and people are just going missing.
Let me tell you something about Ohio cops, Nick.
You don't know shit about Ohio cops.
I know way more about Ohio cops, especially because a guy tried to break into my house, okay? And the cop didn't do shit. He did not call me one time with news about it. I ended up finding out who the guy was and where he goes, and told the cop I think the only thing I didn't tell him was the dude's exact address. I told him everything else, his name, who he knows, where he hangs out, and then the cop found him. I did all of that in like 2 days. In like a weekend. A weekend I did it, and I found the guy. The cop did not do shit. And then they tried to tell me he didn't try to break into my house.
Maybe he didn't try to break in. What was he trying to do?
He said that he was looking for where some lost dogs went. And I'm like, okay, so you walk up to my house. On my Facebook, I have the video. I have security cam footage of him walking up to my porch. I don't have him actually at my door because my camera only goes like, it was looking at the yard. But you can hear him fiddle with the handle and everything else. And it's like, okay, you were looking for where some dogs went.
Yeah.
You peeked in my door, saw my dogs that are in the house.
Look, sometimes...
Then why would you try to get into my house if you're looking where those dogs
Sometimes when you walk up to a house, you just wiggle the doorknob to see if it's open or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do that.
And then you get shot, and then it's the person who shot's fault.
You just kind of shake the doorknob, and if it's open, you open it, and you kind of open the door, and you're like, maybe he was going to just peek in and be like, hello, is anybody home? You never know. You don't know if he's.
I don't think I want to take that risk. Yeah, let him poke his head through the door real quick. Let him just poke his head through the door first.
We are in a friendly town.
Yeah.
Okay? We have a very
The second day we moved in, there was a drug deal that happened out in front of our house. The second day we lived here.
You live close to a bar named Sinners. Okay?
So?
I'm not trying to imply anything here, but I think you could use your imagination what happens around a bar named Sinners.
Yeah, Ted did say, because we went on a beer, like a bar run one time.
Yeah.
Me and the guys. Ted did say stay away from Sinners. He called it the Stabby Bar.
Because people have gotten stabbed there.
Apparently like a bunch. Like a bunch of people have gotten stabbed.
Like, how much is a bunch? Like 12? Is that a...
I don't know.
That seems like a bunch to me.
Well, see, when I thought a bunch of teenagers went missing in Ohio, I thought like 100. And it was
let's get back to the important
1,000.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, yeah, fuck the cops, dude. Of course they're baffled, because they probably didn't even realize that there was children missing until it hit that 1,000 mark. Wow, this is a lot of kids and teenagers that have gone missing. Where are they go? What's in Ohio? What? Do you have anything to add to that?
Look, Ohio has a reputation of people not wanting to live here.
Yeah, I guess.
And kids run away sometimes.
You're telling me that 1,000 teenagers ran away and they still have not found any of them. And over 50 school children have run away and they still have not found any of them. Interesting enough, I did see a map. This relates to the topic. I seen a map, and it's like where a majority of abductions happen. It was a map of the United States, and it's like these are all of the spots, like every abduction for the last I think it was like 5 years, and it showed like a little dots of where all of the abductions and stuff that were reported have happened, and then it cuts over to all of the tunnel systems that are underneath everything in the United States, and it was weird because they all kind of lined up with the abductions.
Were they also around highways?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm assuming so.
Because
Assuming some of
Ohio
them
has
do.
a lot of highways that go through it.
That's
and
true.
That could be a part of some of those missing kids. Because
Like sex trafficking and
yeah, that's a
child
real
trafficking
thing.
and stuff.
And sure, not all of those 18,000 missing kids that I've looked up. Because here's the stat that I looked up. While around 18,000 children are reported missing on average each year in the past decade,
This is just in Ohio?
last year, missing children reports in Ohio were around 15,500, and the number of cases were declined each year since 2017, except in 2022, which increased slightly from the year before.
So during the pandemic and everything, it increased.
Yeah.
So I remember you saying something about that, about the pandemic.
Well, with the thing with the pandemic, though, you got to think that you're going to be pretty much locked in the house with your family, right?
Yeah.
And this is a world where not everything good happens. I'm sure in some of those households, it's not the best environment. So if you're locked in a bad environment, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and everybody's doing it, so that means your mom and dad's home, or mom and her boyfriend, or, all these different scenarios that can happen, and you can only imagine what happens on a day-to-day basis in a bad household. Some of those kids just want to leave. So, of course, that statistic would go up during a pandemic.
So you're saying that the cases of missing children during the pandemic could have risen because more kids might have been running away due to being locked away in like an unsafe or not very well, home.
Yeah. And I don't know the statistics on all that or anything, but that just makes sense in my mind. Like, the scale would kind of shift one way or the other.
And I can see, I'm sure some of those might just be runaways though, but like 1,000? Like, I think this statistic for 1,000, it was just this year.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm sure not all 18,000 kids was that for that reason. I'm sure some of them got kidnapped. Some of them probably had a bad injury, and kind of just died somewhere in the woods, because we got a lot of...
Yeah, we have a lot of...
stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a sad statistic already. And to think that they all went to sex trafficking would be horrible. So I would like to think that some of them ran away and went to California to try and be an actor or something. Maybe we'll hear about that story in like 10, 15 years. I don't know.
One of them make it big.
But
yeah.
But if we don't talk about kids being missing, then who else is going to talk about them, right?
Yeah.
You got to talk about some of these things, and it's not the easiest thing to do.
It can be a very uncomfortable, subject to talk about. But I mean, that's what we're here for. Is to help people, know about different things and to talk with people through it and everything. And we're gonna try and keep it, everything overall as lighthearted as possible. But there is some things that just kind of baffle me that I like to talk about, like that, about like the children cases and teenagers and stuff.
And that's why I always take those Amber Alerts on my phone seriously, because I work in Fort Wayne a lot, and we were having one go off. We were working at a retirement home, and you could hear everybody's phone go off at the same time. And sometimes they don't text you back if they found the person or not.
Oh,
Sometimes they do, but not all the time.
I don't think I've ever gotten a response from any of those. saying that like they found him. I've never gotten any kind of response at all.
But yeah, the last one was Wednesday, November 1st. We got 3 alerts for it. It was for a missing 15-year-old, Amber DeBurcher, 5 foot 1 inch, 120 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. Last seen wearing a black North Side hoodie, gray sweatpants, black slides, and carrying a black backpack with a Jordan ball cap on the back. If spotted, call Fort Wayne Police Department. And they just sent three texts, 1205, 101, and 107. We don't know if they've ever found this person yet. So
that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
See, because like you always see Amber Alerts, and like I never stop to think like, what if I knew the person that was on there? You know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if I was out there looking for him? And, you know, I'm always like, oh, it's just an Amber Alert, and everyone always swipes off them and stuff. But you never stop to think, like, what if it was someone, like, what if it was my kid that went missing, and there was Amber Alerts going off, and not really anybody cared, you know? So I try to put myself kind of in that position.
Well, that's why you should always pay attention, you know? Because you might be able to find the person next.
Maybe.
Small chance.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not paying attention, you're never going to find out.
So, just to kind of stray away from the depressing topics and stuff, we'll move on a little bit. There's a couple of things I wanted to bring up. There's this guy on TikTok. I don't know what his username is because people always repost videos and stuff on there, and I can never find like the original person because they don't like tag him in it.
Right.
But it's this guy, and he always starts off his videos. He's like, "No, you don't understand." He's like, the thing about, and like he starts on like that. Well, he a couple of them that I've seen, he talks about like World War I and World War II stuff.
Okay.
That's crazy. That like I don't hear. They're not in, like the history books and stuff. And so this one was from. It says me whenever someone brings up Canada and World War I. I never heard anything about Canada and World War. I didn't even know they were part of World War One.
Yeah,
I
they sent soldiers.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, school never brought up anything about Canada and World War One.
There's a lot of countries that put in soldiers.
I mean, yeah, it's World War. I guess that
the-
kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You know? The whole world going at war against each other. You know, but it was so in World War One. I think it was the Europe soldiers.
Oh God, we're bringing up
Against-
history.
Against the German soldiers, right? Do you remember hearing about the story about they were fighting during Christmas, and so they halted all the fighting. They both waved white flags, and they played soccer or football as they would have called it, and they stopped just because it was Christmas, and they started playing football just out in the battlefield, and having a good time. Well, there was also a different battlefield where Canadians were fighting Germans, and the Germans heard like a call from the other Germans that were playing football with Europe soldiers, right?
Mm.
So they said, "Oh, well, maybe we can do that too. It's Christmas. Let's just deserve a break, So they waved a white flag. There's 2 soldiers that popped up and waved a white flag. Canadian soldiers sniped them like, right when they popped their heads up, and then they were like, "Oh."
Maybe not.
That didn't work. So then Canada felt bad. So they started throwing canned food over to them. That's kind of like maybe to be a peace treaty. You would think.
Yeah.
So they're throwing canned food over to the Germans.
That's probably not going to work though.
Well, then they switch over halfway through and start throwing grenades over, and so the Germans are like, "Oh, canned food," and they're picking up the canned food, and then grenades start landing in the trenches. And it's like, damn, Canada.
It's war.
Yeah,
It's
war.
war.
I get it. It's like, damn, that's insane. That's kind of crazy. I'd never heard that story before. And it's like, wow. Yeah, let's just throw some canned food over. And they're like, "Jimmy, that's a grenade. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know." Click, it throws it. And then it's like, can you imagine the Germans are like,
I feel like...
"Oh, they're sending us food. Very, very nice." And, "Oh, it's a grenade!"
Banano!
The other story I wanted to bring up was during World War II. There was some French shock troopers, okay? and they it was war. They were in the trenches and everything. Well, they got tired of waiting. They were like, I can't remember what battalion, but they got tired of waiting around, and I'm sure ammo was probably running low and everything else. So what this battalion of shock troopers did, these French shock troopers, they loaded themselves up in like steel knight and shining armor and helmets, and they took grenades and melee weapons like shovels, probably hatchets, knives.
Yeah.
And they bum rushed a German trench and killed them all. And there was some saying that they were screaming. I'm not gonna try it because I butcher it. I don't know French at all. But it was either we win or we all die. And they had grenades and melee weapons in the steel armor, which I'm sure that they were just, the bullets were just bouncing off of them. They were in steel armor. So can you imagine being a German and you're like, oh, what is that? And, oh my God, they're in the trench, and then it's just this group of knights with shovels, knives, and fucking grenades, screaming, either we win or we all die, and slitting people's throats, and then moving on to the next guy, and chucking grenades. I'm like, wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
I'd never heard about it. That would have got me interested in history in school, as if they had covered something like that. Like, I guess it's not technically our history, because it was like French and German
It's
stuff.
world history. You learn world history.
Yeah. But that's crazy. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah. Either we win or we all die.
Yeah. That's not a good mentality to have during war. Especially now that we got nukes.
Yeah.
Because we all die literally means we all die this time.
Yeah, there's a saying that I like. It's from Albert Einstein. I don't know which weapons the Third World War will be fought in, but the Fourth will be fought in sticks and stones.
Yeah.
Because it's like if there's a World War III, we'll annihilate each other to complete obliteration.
And who knows, like, throughout all humanity, if this was even the first and second World War that we already had.
Yeah, that's just our, World War I and II.
The ones that we can fucking remember, really.
And it's crazy to think because, back before World War II, it's like, oh, there was just a World War.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, there's World War II. So then you have to title the first one. And now it's like,
well, while
that'll
these
never
wars
happen
were
again.
happening, they didn't think of it as like, oh, this is the First World War. Like
but they had to have thought it was World War, right? Because,
No.
everybody was in
It wasn't called World War I and II until afterwards.
What did they call? Do you know what they called it? Like
Just
at the time?
The Great War, the war to end all wars.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess if you're probably there fighting that war, you probably are just hoping that there's not a second one.
Mm-hmm.
With the amount of people that died and the shit that was going on.
I feel like once you're in a military and you are in a war, like that's what you're fighting for, is to
To end
eventually to not have to fight one day.
Yeah.
But then you got politics and power and corruption that kind of mingles in all that can kind of just take a look around now, Jacob,
Yeah.
kind of take a look around right now and see what's going on, everybody.
Yep. Well, supposedly we're going to be hitting World War III by 2025 or something.
Well, according to Star Trek history, it's supposed to start next year.
Oh,
Actually,
really?
Was it 2022 or 2024?
What's
Or
2023?
2024 with the riots. I don't remember. I gotta do some research before I start talking about Star Trek. I love Star Trek, so I'm sure we'll talk more about that eventually and try and introduce you to it, because I know you haven't really.
I'm not much. I always hear there's people that are like more Star Wars, and then there's people that's more Star Trek. I was always more Star Wars.
So you're into fantasy, sci-fi, and not just sci-fi.
Yeah. I mean, really, what I love Star Wars for is the lightsabers.
Oh yeah, well everybody.
That's
loves
kind of the best part. Yeah.
Lightsabers, unless you're somebody from Red Letter Media who hates the wizard part of Star Wars.
Oh, like the Force and
Yeah.
everything. I can't remember. Someone described Star Wars And it's just Harry Potter, but with cooler wands.
No, Harry Potter is like Star Wars, but with shitty lightsabers.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Oh, yeah, because Star Wars was around first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Space wizards fighting over power of the galaxy.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining in today.
Thanks for tuning in. We got to talk to a couple of callers. They were both the same person, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, it was the same guy.
Yeah. That's going to be, to conclude, our first official episode of the Long Road Podcast. This is the first one that's kind of like a trial episode. It's like episode 0.5.
Instead of having this our first podcast, let's make this, because what was our last one? 0.05?
0.05. Or 0.5.
0.5. Let's have this one as 0.15 then.
Like 0.75?
0.75? Why would we go to 7?
What do you mean? It's like 0.25, 0.5, 0.75? Like the quarters? Right? Well, why would you jump from point... Well, because 0.15 is less than 0.5. Because it's 0.50.
Did you say 0.5 or 0.05?
0.5.
0.5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like a half.
Well, okay.
Official episode.
So we'll call this 0.6 then. Okay. Why did you put 5?
Because it's not the official... It was like... It's like the
Why did you
pre-episode.
put
It's like half of official
0.1
episode.
then instead of...
I don't know.
0.5?
Because it's like a half official episode. Because I figured just this one would be the first episode.
Okay.
Because you always hear like the pre ones like 0.5, episode 0.5 instead of 1. Because it's like half an official episode.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
We'll call that. Okay. No, I get it. Sure. Anyways, we'll call this one 0.9 then. Because we're almost
Just call
there.
this the first episode.
No. 0.9. Not yet. We're not there yet. I feel like we'll get there.
If we put it at 0.9, then that means the next one has to be the first episode.
Or does it?
We're just going to go to 0.91?
I don't know. You said it, not me.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for tuning in today's episode of the Long Road Podcast, episode 0.9.
Woo!
Woo!